So let's go ahead with adding a baby image. Now ideally you'd shoot from above, you'd match the blanket and do everything and you know, exactly kind of to match the digital, but sometimes we buy the digital background and we look through the images to see what's going to fit. So I'm going to use images that are probably less than ideal so I can give you more of a thorough tutorial. So let's have a little look at these images. Let's use this one, shot by Anna Brandt. So what you're going to want to do, you can either copy and paste this in by selecting all and edit, copy merged, or just copy. What you're going to want to do as well, make sure you've edited this baby image so it kind of fits the digital. If it's a completely unedited, if it's underexposed, if the colours are off, then you're going to have a harder time blending this with the digital. So rather than putting the unedited baby image first, the digital's already edited for you, so you need to edit the baby image first. So make sure you go ahead, get the colours and the lighting balanced, get everything kind of as good as you can to get that in. Click on the place baby layer here. And if you're pasted, you can Control or Command V or come and edit paste like this, and that will put the baby image in there. Or if you'd rather find and locate the image, the saved image on your computer, you can come up to File, and this is what I would recommend as well, Place Embedded, locate that image, double click, and it will come in. Now sometimes the image will appear in the blank box here that's designed to place baby here. Other times it will appear above it. Either way is absolutely fine, but just bear in mind if it appears in its own kind of layer here, you're going to need to add a layer mask. If you're using the LSP digital background actions, the applicators do all of this for you. So if you've got those, you can just go ahead and follow that tutorial to get baby, and it'll make it a lot faster and a lot easier. But I'm going to kind of give you this tutorial manually, but if you've got those, it kind of does all of this for you, and it has all of the extra options in there. This is not included with the digital background, but you can find this on the LSP Actions website. What I like to do is take the opacity down of the layer just a little bit so we can see the digital through. You can find this up here on the layers panel. Control or Command T, and let's make baby the right size. So you don't want baby to be teeny weeny in the bed. That'll just look a little bit odd. This is a little dolly tiny bed. You want baby to be about, you know, filling this area as best as you can. I like to leave a little bit of the hair or a little bit of the hat or the tie back coming just up here onto the bed base, because it really will make it look like baby's nestled in there in the bed. When you're happy with the sizing, hit enter. Another thing to pay attention to, let me just hide that, is the direction of light in the digital background. This digital is lit from the left, meaning the light is coming in here from the left. So you need to make sure the light in your image is also coming from the left. Now the light in this beautiful image here is coming from the right. So what you need to do is come up to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal, and that means the light in the digital is matching. Let's just bring that down a little. So you can see here the light is coming from the same direction. That's really important with all digital backgrounds. The next thing you're going to want to do is come down here. If it's landed in this orange and it's filled in the blank here, perfect, there's already a layer mask. If not, you're going to have to manually add one. So come down here, the little kind of rectangle with the circle in, click that, it's added a layer mask. A layer mask adds kind of a lotto scratch card to your layer. White means show and black means hide. So if I was to grab a black paintbrush, you can see I can paint this layer away. Can you see that here on the layer mask? But what I would like to do is make the whole thing black. So you can Control or Command A to select it all, and Control or Command I, that inverts it. Or there's other ways to get it black too. You can paint it black, you can use the paint bucket to fill it in black. Either way, make that black. I'm going to grab the brush, set to white. I like 100% opacity, 25% flow. And I'm just going to start painting the baby in. It doesn't need to be perfect. And just if you have the whole image in there, it can be a little bit distracting. So you can see here, we're just starting to paint baby in. Once you have your rough selection, it's a lot easier to see the sizing of baby. If you want to change the sizing, you can hold Control or Command T, or Edit, Transform, Free Transform. And just use this to kind of resize baby in there. I'm going to make baby a little bigger because we don't want them to look teeny weeny. How about, let's see a little bit of that toy poking out as well. Okay, how about there? Now what I'm going to do is zoom in a little bit so we can really start refining this selection of baby. So still on the white brush here, you can come in. If you've already shot on a kind of a similar looking blanket, you can just add that blanket in and, you know, job done. But if you've shot on a more complex background, like I'm using this image here because I really do want to show you all the options, I'm going to switch over now to a black brush, semi-hard, and just zoom in, and I'm going to start really refining this selection. Because I've done this a lot, I'm going to go quite fast now and speed this up just a little bit. But please do take your time because having a good selection is really important, but it's something that the more you practice, the better you're going to get at. Changing your brush size really helps as you go along, as well as your brush hardness. You may find you need the brush a little bit harder. It doesn't necessarily need to be a soft fluffy brush because you might want a harder selection. Another way to make a selection on Photoshop, there's so many ways to cut out the baby for a digital background on Photoshop, but another way to do this is to use the magic wand tools. You could use, if you just kind of hover over here, kind of hold your mouse down, I like to use quick selection tool. And you can simply drag this around the area you want to select, around the baby area here, for example. Let's just select all of that, just come up a little bit here. And you can say it's made a pretty decent selection. Anywhere it selects a little bit too much, hold down Alt and kind of refine that selection in. It's not always perfect, but sometimes it can really help you when masking. Let's just make sure the ear is selected. Again, it doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, but just help Photoshop bring it in. If you've got baby on a very, very simple background, for example, just shot from above on a little bit of beanbag fabric, that's going to be a lot easier for Photoshop to know what you want to select. And then when you selected baby, select up here, inverse, and grab your brush, and you can just really kind of use this to get more of a quick, messy selection. And you can see here I'm kind of just getting rid of this excess. It's still not a perfect selection, so I'm going to deselect that, come down with my brush and just kind of dab this in. Once your selection is semi-good, what you're going to want to do is refine this a little bit. So come up here onto Select and choose Select and Mask. If you're using an older version of Photoshop, Select and Mask will look like this, just a kind of a little option coming up. Make sure you're on the Refine Edge and just sweep this over the hair, sweep it over, you know, any fluffy areas, anywhere you want to really kind of refine a delicate selection. Output to selection and hit OK. I'm just going to inverse that and use the black brush to take away anything from the hair here. Or if you're on a normal later version of Creative Cloud, select and Mask and your window will come up looking perhaps a little something like this. It might not look exactly the same, but over here on the tool menu you're going to want to choose the Refine Edge brush tool, and this does the same thing. What you're going to want to do is make that nice and little, nice and soft. So you can see here I'm just kind of refining the selection in a little bit around the hair. Output to selection and hit OK. And again select inverse. If I'm going a little bit fast for you, and if you're unsure of, you know, if you've already got your own method, then you don't need to worry about this. You can kind of skip this part if you already know how to do this. This is just kind of for those of you who aren't too sure when it comes to selecting baby. So I'm just giving you a few options there. Of course, if you've shot on a background that's a similar a similar look, a similar feel, a similar lighting, then this cutting out process is going to be so much easier for you. Let's just get rid of these last little bits. So it really does help to plan this digital background in advance, really, when it comes to your shoot. Any digital, not just this one, any digital background. Just dabbing in a slight little bit around the hair on a very low opacity brush here, just to kind of help blend that a little more. So once you've got your cutout and your selection done, what you're then going to want to do is start adding in some shadows and adapting the digital to suit your baby image, or adapting the baby image to suit your digital. If you have the LSP digital background actions, then this will really, really help you. You have a blending whites and a blending dark layer set up here, which really, really do help. So if you've got those, you can go ahead and watch the videos of how to really blend this baby with the image, because of course we want to probably take these whites down a little bit and add the shadows in. But I'm going to show you how to manually add shadows. So what you need to do is click below, just this layer below Place Baby here. Come down here and you have your a little white circle, half and half. Click this and you have your adjustment menu. You can click on levels or curves. I prefer levels. And what you're going to want to do now is just bring some darkness in. You see this is not affecting the baby at all now. So just bring some darkness in by sliding the middle slider down. You can also right here on the bottom slide this white slider in as well. Make it all a little bit darker. So this is for you to make some shadows. Click the layer mask for levels, Control or Command I. I'm just going to rename that to Manual Shadows. Click the black box, and with a white brush you're going to want to kind of start coming in and creating a little bit of shadow here. Go gently, you don't want big puffy shadows. And if at any point you want to see where the original shadows in your image were, hold down Shift and click on your baby image mask, and we can see here are the shadows coming round here. So that's where we're going to want to add the shadows. Adding a little on the other side as well will help babies seem like they're nestled into the bed, like they're a little bit of weight there, because with no shadows around the other side, so they're gone, baby looks a little bit floaty. So make sure you add just a little bit of shadow in here. Not too much, just a little. So we can see now, with the addition of shadows, we've really kind of bedded baby in there. Once you're happy with your with how baby is sitting in the bed, you can go ahead and play with the bed tops. So that was lace cover. Turning these on off, we have crochet and lace. We have just the crochet or the lace macrame. So whichever one you feel is going to work a little bit better for your baby image. I'm feeling like the whites are a little bit too bright in this baby image here. Just as well, I'm just going to add in a little bit of the original texture here. Again, just to add a little bit more depth into that image. And you can do this by constantly clicking on the layer mask and just refining these until you're happy. Now to bring the whites down on baby, again, if you've got these actions, if you've purchased these actions separately, you have the whole blending whites here, which just makes everything just absolutely easy and perfect. Let me just show you quickly. So blending whites, I'm just going to click on this one. The important thing when using these actions is that you've used this one here to add the baby, otherwise you're going to get some error messages up. But please, if you've got these actions, this is not a tutorial for these actions, so you can you know, go ahead and actually use those actions how it is described on your tutorial. But I've just played the blending whites just to show you what you'd need to do if you have a very, very white image here, because obviously it looks white, but when you add an actual pure white in, you can see these whites are creamy and muted and beautiful. So I'm going to go on the warm whites that's just been added in by those actions, and I'm just going to paint this on just a little bit. And what that's going to do is going to just warm the whites that are in the image already and just help blend them in with this background. I find that's a really useful one to have. Now I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of these. There we go. That's just from the digital action. So I've just used that personally for this image to warm it up a little bit there, because without that obviously baby was very stark kind of white. And again, you can play with the opacity on these so it can kind of suit the image. Entirely up to you. Everything's about kind of your own subjective look at this. You can also add the pillow in there as well. Adding the pillow in means you may wish to kind of come in and refine a little more of this selection. Just like that. You can also play with the different bed bases. You have the curls, the fur, and just the sheet. So of course you don't have to use any of these options. You could just add baby as you would to a JPEG image. It's exactly the same, you know, a flat image. But having all these options here really mean you can, you know, you can create something completely unique for different clients. And it means you can share this digital over and over for different clients, but with, you know, different colours, different tones, different layers in there. It just means you've got a lot more flexibility, and plus you can choose what works for your image. So that was kind of a tutorial to how to go through these layers for the Boho Macrame bed. Let's just pop maybe the lace cover or the lace Macrame. Let's go for that one. I've not spent a lot of time, have I, on the Hygge bed. So I'm going to continue this on in the next video, and I'm going to use the actions to add in there. So if you'd like a demonstration of how those actions work, they're not included, but you can get these on the website, then do please watch that video and enjoy creating.